everybody. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to IEEE VR 2021, which is taking place virtually in Lisbon. And so that you don't miss Lisbon, here is a nice background. In the name of the conference program chairs, myself, Pedro Campos, Kyle Johnson, and that's one, we welcome you virtually to wherever you are. And first to talk about the IEEE VR 2021 online experience, I believe Francisco Simões is a bit too early from him, Jason Orlowski and Rob Lindemann, and I forgot Cristina Videira Lopes from UC Irvine. And a little bit myself, I would like to explain a little bit how the conference is going to take place. The online experience will be focused on Zoom, that for those of you that attended the workshops and tutorials yesterday already experienced. This time for the papers program and for the plenary sessions, we will mostly use Twitch, Discord, Verbella. Discord will serve for Q&A, registration, help desk, and asking questions to the authors of papers, which will be used for broadcast. And of course, you are welcome to see the presentations in auditoriums A, B, and C in Verbella. Discord will be the hub for social interaction. If you have questions to ask, we prefer you to use Discord. We will not be using the voice channel in Zoom much, except for session shares and participants, presenters of papers, keynote speakers, and panel members to present their work, and session shares will conduct the discussion from questions taken in Discord. If you know what's up next, you can either check the program on site on the web pages overview, or you can check the What's Up Next channel on Discord that has the links to the next event. We have general rules and code of conduct that I would like to encourage everybody to check. And we have the program for a channel for the program and paper channels. Each paper has its own dedicated channel. Each tutorial, each panel has its own proper channel that you are more than welcome to peruse and place your questions there. If you need help, please contact us. There is an FAQ channel, there's an help desk channel, and there is a immersive learning research network, Verbella support, where you can ask all the questions that you wanted about Verbella. And for each paper session and for each paper, you are welcome to place your questions in the dedicated paper channels. There are 25 of those, one for each session. There are 127 channels, one for each paper. And of course, there are also voice channels, and I can explain that to you later. So the idea is that you can engage asynchronously with authors. We have a very tight program. We made every effort possible to make sure that all authors get an occasion to engage with the audience through the session shares. There is also for each session an audio channel where you can mix and talk to the authors and session shares. iLearn will be our campus for most of the online events. You have the campus map here, and if you have not downloaded the iLearn campus, please do so. This is a virtual environment where most of the social activities will take place. And I would like to invite Heather a little bit to talk about iLearn campus in a little while. So we have the expo halls for posters, demonstrations, the 3D UI contests, the videos, the doctoral consortium, the BOFs. By the doctoral consortium, I mean the doctoral consortium posters. The doctoral consortium took place on Saturday. The Birds of a Feather meetings, you are welcome to use lots of rooms that we've made available on the Verbella campus. Materials are available during the whole conference, and there are specific times in the schedule for each section activity, and there are social activities for the treasure hunt, networking, etc. There are rooms to watch sessions in group, like Auditorium A, Auditorium B, and Auditorium C for the parallel sessions. I would now like to have Heather talk a little bit about the iLearn virtual campus that we've set up for IEEE VR. Heather?
Very good. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Wonderful. Yeah, when Mark and I first heard that IEEE VR was open to a new venue for the conference, we were thrilled and we said, oh, wouldn't it be great if they came and visited us on our virtual campus? I attended IEEE VR last year as a volunteer, and I have the t-shirt to prove it. So woot volunteers, shout out to all the volunteers out there. And I was able to get a firsthand glimpse at all of the hard work that the members of this organization do to put on their conference, and I was impressed. So we pursued you, we wooed you, and here you are on our virtual campus with us. But speaking more professionally, iLearn is delighted to have you on the virtual campus because our organizations share two important characteristics. First, we're both dedicated to communicating only the best in research. Attendees at this conference are not here for the newest and shiniest. There are other conferences that can take that role. IEEE VR attendees are here to present and learn about the best in VR research. When you stepped on the campus, you dared your own organization to do better by talking about VR in VR. Second, we share a dedication to the network. No, not the electrons, the hard drives, the headsets, and the keyboard that you're using this morning. We mean the network of people. The Immersive Learning Research Network is first and foremost a network of people, and we value people above every other resource. I'd like to remind you that everyone is invited to become a member of iLearn. Membership is free, and we'd like to invite you back to the campus for our conference starting on May 17th. Speaking of people, IEEE VR and iLearn share many of the same members already. So I'd like to send a special shout out to all those in the audience who are already familiar with the virtual campus and remind you to please reach out and help if you find an avatar stuck in a tree this week. I'm also around and I'll be eager to help. Please find me, by the way, personal plug on LinkedIn. One final common belief that we have. We've all sampled virtual reality and we know that there is something different about it. I've been researching it and working in it for 13 years now, and I know that some of you have been working on it longer than I have. But we still don't know quite what it is that makes VR different. The answer eludes us, but we're on that quest together. This is a new day. You've come to campus for this moment. You are here for the information, for the research, and for the people. iLearn invites you to stay for the experience. Together, let's open our eyes. Thank you, Joaquin.
Okay, thank you very much for that engaging introduction, Heather. And you are welcome to explore the cafe. So the cafe and the campus. Here is an example of the go-to menu that you find in Verbella with with the full menu of rooms. We have a first Auditorium A, Auditorium B, and Auditorium C, where you can watch the paper sessions. Plenary sessions such as this one take place in Auditorium A and Auditorium B. Expo All B and Expo All C are room for the posters, demos, 3D UI contests program, video program, and the other social engagement, and as well as sponsorships. There's a workshop square that has more than a dozen of rooms that you can use for meetings. The theater, the music hall, student lounge, where you can socialize with other people at your convenience, such as the committee lounge. Lisbon Cafe is right by the entrance. You are welcome to visit the Lisbon Twin Towers and visit the Tivoli rooftop bar, very well known for us Lisboners, as well as the docks in Santo Amaro, where you can use your own speedboat to have fun. And also the Porto networking room. So we have, besides these, there are dozens of meeting rooms that we have not made available and that are for you to discover. I don't know if Rob Lindemann is with us. He is responsible for this game, Ready Player 21. It's the official IEEE VR 2021 treasure hunt. And if Rob is not among us, then I will let his words speak for him.
Hello. If you are seeing this, it means that I am dead. I mean, an avatar. And so are you. My name is James Holiday. I have created a set of puzzles for you to solve. Each puzzle results in a key that you can use to unlock a secret room within the campus, where you will find clues to finding the next key. There are 4 keys in all, and the first person to find all 4 of them and reach the final room will receive an extra special prize. No, wait. I mean, an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3090 graphics card. There are leaderboards displayed around the campus, and each time someone finds a key, their name will be added to the leaderboard along with the time of earning the key. If you would like to take part in this adventure, please use the QR code that you find below. Good luck.
So just for reference, you have the text again, and you are welcome to scan the QR code to make things interesting for everybody. We have also put a pointer to the start of the game in the conference web pages. So feel free to engage in this experience. Now, question is Stevie, Carnell, or Katarina or Tony with us for the Diversity and Inclusion Committee? If they aren't, let me speak quickly for them. So one of the things that is important for us is, as the conference motto says, make virtual reality diverse and accessible. This is really a diverse conference in terms of time schedules, in terms of different time zones that we span the whole globe. And we decided to address diversity and inclusion first by making sure there is a balanced gender representation throughout the program committee. And if you check the program committee pages, you'll see what I mean. We instituted for the first time an inclusion and diversity scholarship for underrepresented or historically marginalized groups to attend the conference. The people who were interested, they completed an application indicating how attending the conference could impact their career and what they plan to contribute. The applications were evaluated by the Diversity and Inclusion Committee based on the quality of responses to essay questions and how applicants identified within the represented or marginalized groups. We had 24 applicants and we awarded actually 15, with the last one yesterday, awards for 100% exemptions of fees to attend the conference. And this included support for 4 authors of full papers, and 3 undergraduate researchers were invited to another program called Bridge to VR. The Bridge to VR program is to enable undergraduate students who want to participate in the conference and engage with current scholars and to encourage them to pursue VR research in academic settings. And again, this was advertised through our channels and online, and interested individuals completed an application where they identified potential problems that VR could solve. And they proposed a method of sharing their experiences about the IEEE VR conference with their peers. We evaluated applications based on the quality of response and the current undergraduate status. And from 30 applicants, we chose 24 awards. And so you know who you are, and we are happy that we have this initiative, and we applaud the Visualization and Graphics Technical Committee for taking the lead on these initiatives. One thing that Stevie Carnell did is a mentorship program, and this is also kind of a new thing. And there are a number of people who are, everybody actually who got registered for the conference was invited to attend this program either as a mentor or a mentee. So the idea of the mentors, I am one of them, and it's check with your mentees two to three times over the conference, and for example, attend the poster session, have a virtual coffee chat either in Zoom, Verbal, or Discord, and help mentees with elevator pitches or describing their research, and introduce the mentees to other researchers besides ourselves. Most mentees are first-time attendees. So what would you have liked to know the first time you attended IEEE VR? This is some of what the experience that we expect that the mentors impart on mentees. What should you do as a mentee? Well, ask questions. How long has your mentor attended the conference? What work have they published here? What advice do they have when attending this conference? And discuss paper ideas and sessions. Add your mentor on LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. There is a channel on, there is a category in Discord, and one channel per mentor that they can use to engage in audio video discussions with the mentees. And of course, they can meet on the Verbella iLearn campus. For papers, I would defer to Maud Marshall. If you are there, Maud, I would like you to describe the papers program, the journal papers, and then Regis can talk about the conference papers. Maud?
Yeah, thank you. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So first of all, like I will detail, so we were 5 this year, 5 program chairs. So from left to right, so Tabitha Peck from Davidson College in the US, Anthony Steed from University College of London in the UK, Xubo Yang from University of Shanghai in China, and Stefan Lukosh from University of Canterbury in New Zealand, and myself from University of Rennes in France. So some statistics. So we had 161 submissions this year, which represent a very similar number to last year. Among all these submissions, so we accepted 25 papers. So we had an acceptance rate of a little bit more than 15%. And in addition, 6 other papers were recommended for TVCG directly with major revisions. So this paper will not be presented this year at VR. And finally, we also have 10 invited TVCG papers this year, which correspond to papers already published in IEEE TVCG and that have been proposed to be presented during the conference. So to deal with all these submissions, we are thankful to the help of many people. So first of all, we had 55 wonderful IPC members. And we also had 229 external reviewers for a total of 605 reviews in total. And some details about the selection process. So we proceed with a 2-round review process. So we had the first one where we assigned 2 IPC members to each submission. And the primary of each paper was also in charge of assigning 2 external reviewers for each paper. It results that each submission had at least 4 full reviews at the end. Then the reviewing period was 1 month long, and then followed by a discussion phase where the 4 reviewers had to choose a recommendation between conditionally accepted, rejected, or no decision and additional reviews needed. And for this last categories, we had a second round of reviews where we assigned additional IPC member. So this new review period was followed by a last discussion phase where the primary of each paper had to do a final recommendation. And the final decisions were made by the program chair following the recommendation of the IPC members. So this was at the end of October. And then all the conditionally accepted paper went through a second round review cycle. And reviews of the modified version were performed by IPC member, and we rejected papers that did not meet the requested modification asked by the reviewer, as well as the plagiarism check. So final decisions were sent on at mid-January. So to do all this selection process, we would particularly also thank all the IPC members for their work. So we aim at a balanced committee all around the world, with almost 20% of women. Plus this year we were 2 program chair as a woman. And usually IPC members are asked to stand up during the opening session. Even if it's not possible today, please raise your virtual hand or dance or whatever if you are in a virtual room, so that we can thank you. So we would like also to warmly thank the Virtual Reality Steering Committee for their valuable advice and leadership. We also thank Klaus Müller, the editor-in-chief of TVCG, as well as Doug Bowman, the associate editor-in-chief, for making this special TVCG issue possible. And finally, we'll also thank the general chairs for their great job for making this event happening, even with the current situation. So we hope that you will enjoy the conference.
All right, so I'm gonna talk about the conference paper program. First, I'd like to acknowledge all the conference program paper program chairs. Gerd Bruder from University of Central Florida, myself from UNC Greensboro, Pablo Figueroa from University of de Los Andes, Universidad de los Andes in Colombia, Luciana Nedel from the Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul in Brazil, Martin Haché from IEEE Bordeaux, Lily Wang from Beihang University in Beijing, and Tobias Langlotz from the University of Otago in New Zealand. So today, this year, we had a very good program. We're really proud of the program that we're able to put together. We had a total of 389 submissions, and this is on par with previous years, where the conference really exponentially grew from where it was even a few years ago. Of those, we accepted 92 papers, and we had 75 posters that were accepted and included in the posters program. We had a total of 589 external reviewers and 80 international program committee members, which really helped us with making this program as good as it is. I'm gonna talk a little bit about them in a second. But just to give you all an impression of the scale of this endeavor, we had over 1,500 reviews that were put together for all of the submissions. So I'm gonna go a little further into the reviewing process. This, as if you could go to the next slide, please. As with previous years, because of the size of the number of submissions, we distributed the submissions into topical areas for technologies and applications, multisensory experiences and methodological issues, and interaction. And this, as we've done in the past, this was each topic area was used only to be able for us to be able to organize the review process, but we didn't have any quotas for acceptance in each topic areas, and we're careful to accept papers based on the merit review rather than fitting in different topic areas. So a little further into the review process, out of all the submissions, we distributed them into topic areas based on the author's choice. So authors had first and second choice of topic area. And then we had an initial review phase where all papers had at least 3 full reviews and 1 meta review. After that, the reviewers with the program committee member who coordinated the submissions went through a discussion phase and came up with a recommendation. Then the associate chairs met, so we had a subcommittee for each of the topic areas, and the associate chairs met to decide on final recommendations for the paper. In some limited occasions, the discussion phase didn't lead to a consensus, And then we requested an additional review from an international program committee member to have an opinion, an extra opinion on the on that paper, on those papers that didn't have a consensus. Finally, the program committee chairs met, and we finally came with 3 recommendations for papers for the conference. A conditional accept, which meant that authors only needed to make minor adjustments, and the paper would be accepted to the conference. Papers would be recommended as posters or rejected from the conference. So I'd like to acknowledge our International Program Committee. As I said, a very strong committee. You can see here their names. So if anybody here is in Verbella, in the audience, can you please raise your hands for acknowledgement? And let's have a quick virtual applause to everybody, because without each one of you, this program would not be possible. And we'd like to acknowledge all of our reviewers, which is very difficult to see here, but we had hundreds of reviewers, and if you see your small name there, again, thank you. And without your effort and your time volunteered to the conference, this effort would not have been possible. So thank you very much. And we look forward to a great program this year.
Okay, for publications, thank you so much, Regis. This was quite an undertaking, and thank you for that. I'm wondering if we have one of the publications shares. I believe neither Ed nor Christos Moussas said to me last evening that he would probably not make it today, and I would like to acknowledge the wonderful work that Christos, Mohammed, Safaya Tarifin, and Ed Swan have done for this year's program. And since none of them is here, which is a pity, I'll have to talk on their behalf. So I think it's no mean feat that we should acknowledge these 3 fine people for their work in getting the conference program together. All of you should have got a notice that the provisional program with copies from 92 accepted conference papers, 83 workshop papers, 126 posters, 17 3DY contest papers, 22 doctoral consortiums accepted participations, 10 research demos, companion papers, and 9 videos are now online. And what was special about it is that the paper, this publication became available online 3 days before the first workshop ever started. So a big kudos to these 3 people whose indefatigable work managed to get the job done in such a fantastic way. This was a long-standing complaint of many attendees that the proceedings would not be available until several months after the conference, and they are to be commended for turning this situation around, and I would like to ask for a virtual round of applause for their fantastic work. And thank you so much. So just to give a few more details, they had the first 4-hour meeting at February 4th, and the last 4-hour meeting at March 16th, 6th, which was, so they had 7 meetings in total and individual work to check each and every submission. The papers are published 36 hours, sorry, not 3 days, before IEEE VR 2021 and 12 hours earlier than IEEE VR 2020. So I'm really very happy that they could do this fine process, and that we have got the proceedings just in time so that you can peruse the contributions to the conference. And I would like to yield the floor to Pedro Campos to talk briefly about the Birds of a Feather meetings. Pedro Campos, who is also one of the co-chairs for the conference. Pedro, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, good, good. So first of all, morning everybody. We have a special kind of sessions called Birds of a Feather, where the idea is that anybody who is registered to VR and has common interests can organize. It's a more or less self-organized kind of sessions where you can propose a topic that impacts VR in any way, and we encourage everybody to simply hang out and create a kind of virtual social gathering around any of these topics. We are right now in the process of collecting those topics. So if you look at the program, we will have 3 time slots dedicated to just birds of a feather. And frequently asked question is how to do it. You simply register your session. You have to provide your email, the title, topic, and time slot. You should do that using the Google form on the VR, on the Discord of the conference, #BOF. And yeah, and please do it today so that we can collect in the afternoon or in the evening, and we'll post it on the website, also in Discord and Verbella. So a couple of important things about the Birds of a Feather is that you can use a Verbella room or a space. There's lots of space in Verbella. And we will create the corresponding Discord channel. For the Zoom, you will need to provide the Zoom link for the video because it's what makes a little bit of more sense here. And you should post the Zoom link in the Discord. We'll also be doing that. So remember that this is a self-organized kind of session. So the registered organizer is the sole responsible for ensuring this is a safe environment that is aligned with the code of conduct. Yeah, look in VR booth Expo all A and B. There are already two BOFs created on Discord. So you can already check those out. Yeah, I think that's basically it. And feel free to reach us if you have any doubts or questions. Thanks.
Yeah, you can. Thank you, Pedro. You can, so just to be more precise, you can engage with the screens in Verbella. I learned if you go to Expo All and B, the VR booth is there among the sponsors' booths. And so you can directly fill out the form by clicking on the screen. And if you click on the magnifying glass, you'll have full access to the browser screen where you can fill out the BOF form, and you're more than welcome to do it, and do it now or 10 minutes ago. Thank you. Thank you, Pedro. And I'm glad that Pedro is surviving the floods in Madeira, where the weather has not been particularly nice to yesterday and today. And posters. I don't know if any of the poster shares. Daniel Medeiros is Isaac Show is here.
Yeah, I'm there, Joachim.
Okay, good. So you're more than welcome to talk to the posters program.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, we were 4 poster chairs this year. My colleagues, Daniel Medeiros, Isaac Cho, Alejandra Gomez de Sierra, and myself. Yeah, as following Rob, I prepared a little puzzle for you as well, because 2 of the numbers of this slide are wrong and 3 are correct. And when you listen to the others, you might find out which are correct. No, I help you out. There's a mix. There's an error in a typo in the number here. So at the end, we have 126 posters this year, and originally we had 91 submissions directly to the poster track, from which we were able to accept 52. And then there are missing 74, and they are coming from the conference track, as Regis has talked about before. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, the review process. Every poster was reviewed by one poster chair, and when there was a doubt or a borderline, it was discussed among all the poster chairs, and that led at the end, as I said, to 52 accepted poster submissions. Yeah, our acceptance criteria were that the posters had to fit the topic of IEEE VR, that they are technically correct, and have at least a minimal contribution. Yeah, you can skip that one. Posters this year are spread into 2 halls, addressing a little bit these issues with time zones. So there's Hall A and Hall B. So please visit both halls. Just refer to the program when it's best to visit which hall. It's starting with Hall A today and Hall B tomorrow, and then both halls for the rest of the 2 days. Yeah, you can go ahead. Yeah, that one, you can skip that one as well. Okay. That's really important. So now that was posters. Now we are coming to voting, because as regularly there will be a best poster award, as well as a best demo and best 3D UI contest presentation. And you vote in one system for all of them. So please, in the next days, visit Hall A and Hall B. Look at all posters, demos, and the 3D UI contest. And then you can vote for the best one. We will share the link on the next slide, and in all the channels we will pin it to demos, contests, and posters. And what you have to do is just pick your favorite ones. You have to find out in which hall you are, define this in the Google form, and then just look at the floor of your favorite poster or demo. There's a booth number, put it into the form and submit it. Yeah, you can jump to the next slide again. Really important is you don't have to vote for all, but we of course highly appreciate when you do it. You don't have to vote for everything at once. You can revisit the form when you received a link via mail. Yeah, and for posters, because there are so many posters, you have up to 3 votes, but they have they don't have any order. So you can specify up to 3 nominates for posters. And we want to close the voting Wednesday, every day on Earth, midnight, so that we can calculate the results for the closing at Thursday. Yeah, as I said, you don't need the link. We will post it to Discord so you can find it whenever you need it. Thank you.
Thank you. As for the demos, I would like to, so I think that Benjamin is with us.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Joachim. So I'm happy to introduce you to the demo chairs, Ayush Bhargava, David Crum, Raphael Kufner, and myself from the University of Trier, Germany. So we went through the selection process for the demos, we 4 chairs, similar to the posters, and reviewed the various submissions we got regarding novelty, the potential contribution this demo could have to the community and possible research directions. And we also had a look on the quality of the actual presentation in the abstracts we received. In total, we created 2 reviews by the chairs per submission, and if there were any further questions, we add a 3rd one if needed. Please, next slide. Thank you. So in total, we received 13 submissions this year, and we were able to accept 10. And then we decided that we would like to look into the various paper tracks and ask for interested authors who want to show their solutions as a demo. So we were able to get further demos. So 4 demos are from the paper. So in total, we have 14 demos presented in the 2 expo halls. Next slide, please. Yes, so how to visit demos. So it's the same as for posters. So you'll find here some similar information. So go to the expo halls. And specific for the demos is that you will find the demos in the area C20. So if you enter in the first door on the left, you just go after visiting the expo and the sponsor booth. You go through them and then you find the demos there. And again, you can visit them on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday during the poster demos, 3DUI, video and DC session in the expo halls. But I think the same is true for all of them. You can also visit them between because the material is available all the time. So if you enter the booth, you can just click through the slides or the video which is presented there. But of course, it's much more interesting if the actual presenters are present during these times you see on the right. And you also find this in the program. Okay. Next slide, please. Yeah, so for the demos, we will have the also introduced audience voting by Daniel. So please vote, take your chance and have a look and decide what is the best demo for you. But we also will have an expert voting. So we have a small committee of experts who will also visit the demos, having a look, and then we will distill this into the best demo awards. So the results, as for all awards, will be announced in the closing session. So thank you very much, and this is it from the demos.
Thank you so much. I will, without further ado, proceed to the doctoral consortium. And this was formed by the doctoral consortium was put together by a team composed of Andrew Robb, Teresa Romão, Alicia Hayes, and Rajiv Katka. I hope I pronounced Rajiv's name correctly, since I have not yet the pleasure of meeting him in person. And we're talking about the doctoral consortium because it mostly took place it took place on Saturday, but you are welcome to visit the posters that were put together by the students in the doctoral consortium. I don't think I have Teresa or Alicia here to talk about the doctoral consortium, which is a pity, because we are having a by accident a male-dominated presentation, and that is not the message that I would really like to convey. So there were 28 submissions to the doctoral consortium, and 20 of those could be accepted by the organizers, and they were presented by the students onto a day-long session during Saturday that I think went exceedingly well. In order to make the doctoral consortium feel more intimate and to less intimidatory to starting doctoral students, the proceedings were not broadcast. So this was kind of a mostly private section attended by mentors and doctoral students. And there were short presentations followed by Q&A sessions. And then these were followed by a mentoring session, 20 mentoring sessions, so one-on-one conducted during breakout sessions in Zoom. And this is what I can, this is one group picture that we have from both the students, the organizers, and the mentors. You can see some distinguished colleagues of ours, such as Christian Holtz, Tabitha Peck, Kyle Johnson. I'm just reading names from the picture. Steve Feiner, Nun Correa, Alicia, Andrew, Teresa Romão up there, and of course Rick Scarbez, and then the students. Rajiv, here is Rajiv, and then you have the students. I'm not sure everybody's on the picture. Nope, just a small one. And the second smaller picture, you have this limitation of Zoom that sometimes you cannot get all participants onto one screen. And I believe this was one very successful part of the conference that's already taken part. And you are more than welcome to visit the posters. So all all doctoral consortium students are presenting their work in Expo All A, if memory serves, next to the other posters in the poster program. So you're more than welcome to visit their booths during poster sessions and engage with the authors. And I guess we move on to workshops. I don't know if Jason, Gerald, João, Mashuda, or Sabine are here. I don't see them among the people in the room. So I'll give a brief note about the workshops program. This year, we wanted to strike out a different process. So let me give you an impression of what we wanted to achieve with this year's posters program, workshops program, sorry. We want to make the workshops as inclusive and interactive as possible, given the present circumstances. So the posters were mostly organized as fully interactive Zoom presence. Oh, Teresa, welcome. I don't know if you want to say anything more than I said about the doctoral consortium program. You are welcome to say it. I just noticed that she joined us. Doctoral consortium program.
You are great.
You are welcome to say it.
I was listening, but I could not. You are great. I was.
To say it.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Okay.
No? Thank you.
Are you here? Good. Yeah, we can hear you.
You were great, Shriki. Thank you. I was in the other virtual room, and I could not come into the Zoom. I would like to thank you, all the people involved, the authors, the reviewers, the mentors, they were all great, and I think we had a very interesting doctoral consortium on Saturday. Also want to thank you, my colleagues, and all the support that we have. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for showing up, and thank you for all the great work that you did between you and your colleagues, and taking the time to organize this. I know it's a lot of effort, and I'm very happy that you agreed to do it. Thank you, Teresa, and thank you, Nuno. Thank you, Rajiv, and thank you, Alicia.
Alicia.
Yes.
Rajiv.
You again. Okay. So talking about the workshops back, I was discussing this. I think we were in the 10 workshops that took place on Saturday and Sunday. These were very short and very intense. This is a markedly different organization than regular workshops on in-person conference, because most workshops took place over a couple of hours, and we tried to make interaction as much as possible the dominant tone of the workshops. So most workshops could be watched or followed or participated in interactive Zoom sessions. Some of the participants even organized their own Zoom sessions with collaborative tools, which I really appreciated. We made the broadcast channels available via Twitch. Also, you could follow the workshops on Verbella and YouTube. And the discussions took place, very lively ones, on both Zoom and Discord. I would like to compliment João Moreira, who is also overseeing the multimedia streaming group. We have 8 people working in shifts of 4, and I don't have slides for this, so I'll take the opportunity now to thank João for his indefatigable efforts in making sure that these programs are running smoothly. And the one thing that I would like to commend João is that you can find the recordings of the previous day's sessions in IEEEVR.org 2021 program overview. And I believe, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about this, João, but I think that Sunday's proceedings that we captured from Twitch, since apparently YouTube is silently not recording long sessions, we capture these on Twitch and make them available on YouTube. You want to add something to what I said, João Moreira? So, okay, so if you want to know what workshops were yesterday, you can go to the overview pages and you can click on the watch the workshop. I think it still says live. I'm not sure. I may be wrong. Let me quick check on this. And workshop, animation, Discord channel. So it still says open in, it still says open in browser, open in app, but you can watch the recordings for the workshops yesterday. I'll ask the webmasters to make sure there is a recording pointer accessible. And so we are trying our best to make sure that the proceedings are available also in video form on the next day after the conference, and we can. I'm confident that we can make this happen throughout the week. And there will be 3 workshops on Friday, April 2, after the conference, and I guess that's most of what I wanted to say, and I'm sorry that the workshop shares cannot be here. As for the tutorials, Beatriz, if you are with us, it would be great if you could talk, either Beatriz or Evan. Otherwise, I will speak briefly to the tutorials program. I believe it's also one of the successful parts of this conference, that we are having a nice set of tutorials. There were 6 tutorials in this program's in this year's conference. I attended several of them personally, and I find them enjoyable, informative, and engaging. We have so far 6 tutorials have been delivered, 4 on Saturday and Sunday, and there are 3 more. I know that 4 plus 3 does not equal 6, but I'll explain. There is a tutorial that has sessions on both this weekend and the following Friday. So that's why there are 3 more tutorials. There is 1 more tutorial session than the number of tutorials. And since this is a distributed conference, I don't think there is too much to fault for people doing distributed tutorials as well. The maximum attendance was 87 people so far, considering Verbella, Zoom, and Twitch, and YouTube. And you can check the tutorials program on online. So we had 1 tutorial on the replication crisis in empirical science, which was very interesting yesterday. Interactive storytelling for VR, web-based virtual reality development and instruction using Babylon.js. A very interesting one, especially because the instruction part was even larger than I anticipated. And we had another interesting tutorial on combining the virtual and the real on 2 sessions on Saturday. And yesterday, of course, we had presenting the replication crisis in empirical science, which I think it's a very important topic. There will be 3 other tutorial sessions on Friday, April 2. So there will be BMI Tux, a simple toolkit for building experiments in Unity at 2 p.m. Lisbon time, UTC +1. And I'm sorry that we were caught up by this interesting change in events. There will be another tutorial on emotion in virtual reality at 2 p.m. And the last tutorial in our schedule is combining the virtual and the real. This is a 3rd session from yesterday's 2 sessions tutorials on combining the virtual and the real. So this is the longest tutorial divided in 3 sessions. And so this is the tutorials program. We had an average of 65 people attending over the different channels. And just out of curiosity, we are currently, I believe, more than 1,100 people have registered to attend the conference. So this is probably the highest grossing virtual reality in recent times that I can remember. And the conference would not be possible without the dedicated effort of student volunteers. I don't know if Soraya or Ines are here. I guess they are busy womaning the booths, but I would really like to acknowledge the work of Courtney Hutton, Ines Silva, and Soraya Paulo. And they have put together a awesome group of dedicated volunteer students. And this cannot be understated. The 32 student volunteers are really the glue that makes conferences run smoothly. When you are registering to attend the conference, the first person that you meet at the registration desk on Discord is a volunteer student. They check your registration in Cvent, and they assign you the proper role so that you can access the proper channels in Discord, and that you can also be able to access Verbella. They are available almost 24/7. I'm not kidding. The Discord application keeps beeping on my desktop around the clock, and sometimes it even wakes up me up in the middle of the night when I forget to mute it. And the people responsible for answering questions there are volunteer students. They can help you find your way around in Verbella. They are managing the multimedia streams to make sure that this event runs smoothly and efficiently. So I'm very, very indebted in the name of the organizing committee to the student volunteers and to the fine women who have put this program together. And I would like you to give them a quiet or not so quiet round of applause. Kudos. I don't know if Amir Drakes or Michelle Tubb are here. I believe not. So I would like this year, the conference has done something novel. Both Michelle and Amir are affiliated with IEEE Computer Society, and they have started an innovative program, finding good sponsors and engaging them, and even in technical fields such as virtual reality, is a really hard task, and more than often than not, a thankless job. The Computer Society has stepped up their game and decided to help the conferences in finding sponsors, in the working with the conference chairs to devise an attractive package for conference organizers and for sponsors alike. And it is really a bit difficult to attract sponsors for online events because at first glance, the opportunities for engagement between conference sponsors and conference attendees are really diminished. And Michelle and Amir have done a wonderful job together with Michelle Ocampo, Michelle Tubb, and Amir Drakes in finding a fine set of sponsors. You can find them in the lower bar under the most slide presentations. And I would like to acknowledge our sponsors. So our diamond sponsor is Verbella. You'll hear more about them in our welcome reception later on, a couple of hours from now after the technical program, where you'll also find the VGTC Awards session that will be hosted by Harry Fuchs as our share of the VGTC Awards Committee. You already have the awards page. You know that we have two fine people honored this evening. UTC plus one time, of course. And I would like to welcome everybody to attend the meeting in Verbella and also on Zoom. Our Zoom sessions can accommodate up to 500 participants each, and if that's not enough, we can accommodate more room. So thanks to Verbella, we have this virtual environment where people can meet in avatar and where we can socialize and where we'll have all the posters. So Verbella was generous in offering us discounted value for access to the iLearn network, as you've heard. As for the Immersive Learning Research Network, you already heard from Heather Dobbs, an impassioned presentation. We're very happy to be working with Heather Dobbs and Mark Lee, who have been friendly hosts. And Heather is around also with all the student volunteers to help you solve your technical problems, be it the headset or audio or other problems. And if she has been the one getting to avatar stuck up trees and convincing them to descend that it's safe. I would like to talk a little bit about my organization Instituto Superior Técnico, the School of Engineering of the University of Lisboa, one of the two largest universities in Portugal. They are giving us their gigabit network and support staff to make sure that the multimedia streams run smoothly. And if everything goes as I hope and planned flawlessly, I would like to acknowledge the role of the IT department and the president of the institution and my own computer science department in making sure that we have the infrastructure, the infrastructures need to run this conference smoothly. Of course, this was originally planned as an in-person and a remote conference event to take place in our campus. I'm sorry that we could not do this, and instead we are meeting virtually on a campus, but hopefully this will be over. Qualcomm is our silver sponsor, and their donation is gratefully acknowledged. By the way, you can find the sponsors' booths and interact with them on the conference expo halls A and B, and they will be happy to meet you there. And I would like also gratefully to acknowledge our bronze sponsors, starting with HitLab New Zealand in the person of Rob Lindemann, who was kind enough to give a money donation that is supporting our diversity and inclusion program. I would really especially like to thank HitLab for this contribution and remind everybody that there is more to diversity than just gender or race or social groups. It's also geography, and I could not be more. It could not be more diverse than acknowledging the people from down under that are 13 hours in the future to join us and to help in the organization in so many different ways. So kudos to the HitLab NC people, and kudos to you, Rob, for making so many good things happen. I would like to acknowledge Facebook Reality Labs for their contributions to research as well as Microsoft Research. They have been stalwart supporters of this conference for several editions, as well as Vicon. XR Bootcamp, a partner event that has been promoting our conference and whom we are also promoting, and Happen. Thank you to all. Supporters, I would like to thank David Luke of NVIDIA for providing the first prize for our online context, a state-of-the-art GPU. Thank you, Dave, and I hope to meet you later and acknowledge in person, well, as much in person as we can be these days. INESC-ID Lisbon is kindly offered their installations and labs on campus to host a multimedia team. The Eurographics Portuguese chapter has been in support of these activities. I also would like to acknowledge SIGGRAPH, but this will be done later. The doctoral consortium has been sponsored by the National Science Foundation, who have sponsored the participation of the doctoral consortium students, as they've done in years past. And I would like to thank NSF and especially Alicia Hayes, who managed the whole process of this managing the NSF grant for their support of the doctoral consortium, as well as Fake Space Labs, who was given a cash donation to make sure that the doctoral consortium could be run smoothly and efficiently. And I would also like to acknowledge CIO Applications as a partner event. We have two affiliated conferences whom I would like to yield the floor first to Michele Fiorentino to talk about our sister conference, ISMAR. We are part of the Milgram Continuum, and I would like to introduce you the other complementary part of the Milgram Continuum, ISMAR 2021, organized by Michele Fiorentino, Joe Gabar, Antonello Uva, and Veronica Teichlieb. Michele, you have the floor. Hello.
Thank you, Joaquim. Hi. Thanks for giving this slot here. So we are. It's kind of strange to talk about conference venues right now these days, but I want to introduce our conference. That will be held in Bari, Italy, in October from 4 to 8. So what is particular? Maybe virtual conference. They have their own advantages, but actually the possibility to visit a place, a nice place like Lisbon, I've been there, is amazing. So especially for the young generation, for the young researchers, it's important also to meet by person and create interesting bonds that are made also in front of a beer. So what about Italy? Italy is hard to present in a short. Yes, but I try to do my best, and actually walking in the street of an ancient city like our city, Bari is beautiful, is under the Adriatic coast, in a hill of the boot, just to say where it is. However, it's well connected with a modern airport and train station in the city center. And well, you can enjoy the Italian lifestyle, like the weather is mild and the espresso is good, and you can walk in the history. The city, old town, is beautiful. So for the next slide, sure, we have the sea and so water sports. Yes, like I do. And next slide, please. Yeah, another thing that we are cannot deliver, it's actually food. And Italian food is well known, as you know, but the Bari has its own culture. And so in case you want to come to Italy, you will remember those things together. The mozzarella, it's a kind of cheese, and other fantastic food that people remember years later. So we organized a conference many years ago, and people still talks me about those foods. So I want to say this is a strong point from our culture. So next slide, please. Well, we are trying also to deliver all the experience, not only just the scientific, which is my as well, like we are growing in a number of attendee and paper and scientific value, but also we wanted to deliver some experience you will bring back to you in a country. Like we wanted to teach you to prepare our local pasta, and we want to taste you our local wines and local oil, or just strolling around in Old Town. So this is moments where you build strong relationship. So just last slide. So finally, you are still in time. So maybe we want to tell the conference paper is May 24th, poster paper on June 11th. This year we have also panel and competitions, so there's still the time to propose your work. We have a website, www.isbar21.org. So, or you can just come in our booth in the conference in Birbella. So we have some students staying there for having give you any other questions. And so thank you very much for this. We are hoping to, we have a person, the chair for the safety. So we are taking our best chance to give you the best real hybrid experience. So thank you very much, Joaquin. I hope I was fast.
Thank you so much, Michele. Yeah, you were appetizing.
You're welcome.
Fast.
Okay. So see you. We are waiting for you in this lovely conference too.
You gave me every motivation to submit and attend HISMAR, Yeah, it's one of the few places in Italy where I haven't been, and I really look forward and I hope to meet you there in person. Thank you so much, Michele and Joe, for putting
My
the conference
pleasure.
together. Okay. Last but not the least, I would like to talk briefly about the cooperation between Visualization and Graphics Technical Committee and ACM SIGGRAPH. There has been a growing cooperation between SIGGRAPH and VGTC, and SIGGRAPH has hosted invited virtual reality presentations with selected papers from VR. It has been sort of upended by the pandemic last year, but we hope to resume this in person. And there is a SIGGRAPH booth in Expo Hall A that you are welcome to visit. And of course, one thing that you might know is that there are discounts available for IEEE members at ACM SIGGRAPH, and you could also, there are at least 40 people attending IEEE VR with ACM discounted memberships. So SIGGRAPH 2021 will take place virtually 9th to 13th of August. This year, they celebrate the industry and its innovators, where we've come from, where we are, and where we're going. And you are welcome to register to attend ACM SIGGRAPH in person, not virtually this year. And so please do it. And we are very happy to welcome our participants who are also SIGGRAPH members, including myself, of course. Well, before I say enjoy the conference, I would like briefly to explain how things are organized. So if you go to IEEE VR, program overview, I would like just quickly in the last few minutes to give you an idea on how you can find your way around. So now it's almost closing time for the conference. Please note that all times are given in Lisbon local time. We introduced this clock because from Saturday to Sunday, we entered daylight savings time, and that was a source of some confusion. So you have the local time here in Lisbon, and you can compare that to the times given tomorrow, today and tomorrow. So we have many program locations that happen in Verbella. You have instructions on how to get started with Verbella, and you are more than welcome to peruse them. So there is a small introduction video that I'm not going to play now, but you have some technical details and some hints about things that you can do to make Verbella work smoothly. If you are registered to attend the conference, note that I would like to make a distinction here. If you are watching this and you have not received instructions to attend Verbella, either you have a problem with your email, you are registered to the conference, but you could not, you provided an incorrect email. Please make sure that you check your email on Cvent so that you can receive a link to download the Immersive Learning Research Network Campus. Verbella has many campi, and iLearn is one of those campi, and our conference will take place in iLearn campus of Verbella. You are welcome to play the video. I'm not sure that I have time to do it right now, but if you are registered, you must have received these instructions via email. If you are not registered, hey, there is still time to do it, and you are welcome to do so. The main navigation device to our program is the URL, IEEEVR.org/2021/program/overview. It's the first item on the menu. You have one menu item for each part in the program. I did not talk about the videos program, and thank the organizers, Miguel and Miguel Dias, João Paulo Dias, and João Moreira. My apologies. And you are welcome to visit the videos in there. Today, what we have scheduled is a keynote by Betty Moeller, shared by Minglin. And this will take place in Auditorium A in Verbella. And we have the session share will be in England. You can watch the web stream live on Twitch, or you can, if you are registered, you can open the Discord channel in browser or in app. And this is, of course, for registered participants only. This is one of the benefits that you get as a paid participant. Betty Moeller is a principal research scientist in Amazon Research Development Center, and she's going to present via video an exciting keynote to open the conference later on after the break. We have 4 fantastic keynotes. Besides Betty Moeller, Nuria Oliver, an ACM and IEEE fellow and the person in the intelligent user interfaces and community will present an interesting work that they've done using InfoVis to fight the COVID epidemics. So we notice, I just like to notice that we have a gender balanced team of keynote people. Frank Steinicke is a well-known scholar in our area, and we'll have a fantastic keynote to finish the proceedings by Stephen Feiner. So a all-star gender-balanced presentation. I just would like to give you 3 brief notes about the sessions. You can, each paper session will take place exactly for 1 hour. There will be 7-minute presentations by authors, and the first 2 ones will take place in 2 hours, more or less. Please, all authors are strongly encouraged not to go over 7 minutes so that there will be time for Q&A. If you want to ask questions, go to the Verbella, go to Discord, and you can find the general session on augmented reality. If you scroll down a little bit, you will find the papers. This is just an exemplary session. Click here, and you'll find paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, etc. Each paper has its own entry. So you can find the TVCG paper, and this is an invited paper, if I'm not mistaken. There's a teaser video, and there is the abstract for many of the other papers as well. We're still completing some of these. If you want to place questions, you come to these groups, and you can say, and you can ask questions by typing them at the thing, like something very insightful, like this is a nice approach, but does it scale up? One of those things. So you type your question, it will be posted here. It will show up on the Verbella, in this case, conference auditorium A. There's a map on campus, so you access. And then for each paper online, you have the abstract, and you have the name of the author. So you can navigate the campus here. So today, we have 6 paper sessions. We have made every effort, and I would like to acknowledge the fantastic effort that Kyle Johnson, Hertz1, and the other conference chairs have made to make sure that we minimize the number of parallel sessions. Note that there's only 2 parallel sessions on the papers program. If you go back, we've made sure that there is not more than 2 parallel sessions. So if you are interested in papers in both parallel sessions, you can still watch the Q&A sessions at the end. So the other thing that's different from previous years is that papers will be presented in sequence, and then there will be a panel format Q&A session at the end of each session. So if you're an author and you go over time, you are stealing everybody's time from the Q&A session that are the most one of the most important parts on each technical session. Then at 3 p.m. you have posters and demos, and you can engage with the exhibitors. You have 2 more paper sessions at 16:30 or about 7.5 hours from now. And then you'll have the welcome reception, including the VGTC Awards hosted by Henry Fuchs. Maybe, well, if you want to know them, you should really know these 2 nice folk. Thank you. So we're almost done here. And I believe that I've just got to say that I would like to thank everybody that has made this event possible. There's lots and lots of people whom I fail to acknowledge. We have to split the acknowledgements and the recognitions of work to everybody. Between now and the closing session, we will have the awards: the best paper award, the best poster award, the best demo award, the best 3D wipe 3D user interface award. At the end, we also have the best dissertation award, and of course the present introduction to next year's event on Thursday afternoon, Lisbon time. This has been a fantastic journey, and as one of the conference co-chairs, I am very happy that you could make it here, and I can just tell you that I'm very happy to share virtually this event with you. So enjoy the conference. Thank you very much. I look forward to be seeing you over the next couple of days virtually.
our first keynote speaker, Betty Moeller. Betty is currently a principal research scientist at the Amazon Research Development Center, where she joined since 2018. Previously, she was a professor at the Cognitive Science Center at the Technical University of Darmstadt. And for 10 years, she was an independent research group leader of Space and Body Research Group at Max Planck Institute for Biological Cybernet. At TUD, and MPI, and also at the University of Utah, where she received her PhD in computer science. She had the privilege to work with world-renowned experts in multidisciplinary team focused on computer graphics, virtual reality, computer vision, philosophy of neurosciences, and neurobehavior sciences. She has published over 100 research papers in different topics, including space and body perception, virtual human, and virtual reality. Betty and her research team have always focused equally on human perception as well as developing immersive technology. Her passion for developing virtual reality for medical, clinical, and industrial application, along with a central focus on the person, led her to a primary research focus on self-avatar in immersive technology, which she will be talking about today with us during her keynote. Betty?
Thank you so much for the kind introduction and for the opportunity to speak today at the IEEE Virtual Reality and 3D User Interfaces International Conference in 2021. My name is Betty Moeller, and I work at the Amazon Research Development Center in Tübingen, Germany. I'm delighted to be here today to present self-avatars in immersive technology. Before I get started, I want to make a small note that the research of this presentation was all conducted prior to my position at Amazon and therefore does not reflect my research or future work at Amazon. So in the last few weeks, as I was preparing this presentation, and quite frankly, over the last decade, I found myself often asking the question, why virtual reality? Why is this your main focus? As I've asked myself this question, I've imagined my first VR experience quite often. And over the next few days at this conference, I challenge you to think back to your first VR experience and share with your colleagues and friends, what about VR and those first experiences caused you to take a path of studying virtual reality or using virtual reality in your career? For me, it brings me back to 1992. I was first becoming a teenager, I was just 13 years old, and my two older sisters were studying computer science at a local university called Millersville University of Pennsylvania. And their professor, Dr. Roger Webster, had given them the challenge to use this head-mounted display to create a cool demo. They rose to the challenge and made a VR hang gliding demo. They used a swing-like hammock that you could lay into. They had a triangle that you could hold onto. They had a fan blowing wind in your face. And in the head-mounted display, they put through video from an airplane that was flying over fields. Now, this head-mounted display, I won't lie, was really heavy on the front of your face. However, the experience was really magical. Here I was, a teenager who had only been introduced to virtual reality through Star Trek and thinking and hearing about the holodeck. And I was experiencing something that was out of this world. It was something that not very many people at that time even got to experience virtual reality, but I got to experience what it might be like to be in a hang glider. It was just 2 years later that I joined my sister when she traveled to SIGGRAPH when it was in Florida at Walt Disney World. And in the parking lot of that resort, the most inspirational thing that anybody said to me about research was Dr. Roger Webster, who turned to me and said, "Betty, in the future, surgeons will no longer have to practice medicine on their patients. They'll get to do it in a simulator many, many times before actually having to perform a procedure on patients. He talked on about how immersive virtual reality would enable future surgeons and future medical students to be able to practice looking down at their hands, experiencing the patient data, and improve the world of medicine. Well, just 2 years after that, when I went to the Millersville University of Pennsylvania, I worked with Dr. Roger Webster and published work at the Medicine Meets Virtual Reality Conference. Here you can see 2 such publications and works where I'm working with Roger on a surgical suturing simulator and a laparoscopic surgical simulator. So these were my first VR experiences that were very exciting, very promising, and I still ask myself the question, well, what keeps me passionate about virtual reality today? Well, my main idea is that virtual reality is a useful tool for so many applications and disciplines. And importantly, it's a useful tool for designing experiences. This language, designing experiences, I first heard, and it's really had an impact on me, when I attended the Dogstool Virtual Reality Conference in 2008. In particular, Steffi Beckhaus and Mark Manet were organizing a small workshop where we were discussing what it is we would make if we could design an experience with future virtual reality technology that had no limitations. Steffi and Rob Lindemann published a paper a year later at VRST in 2009, which you can read, but I want to share something that stuck out with me about that workshop. It was Greg Welch, pictured here, who described his vision. He said, in the future, when I travel to international conferences, I want to be able to tuck my children in at night. I want to be able to read them a bedtime story, and I want it to be as if I was there, that we were together and I wasn't across the world. Another example he gave was if you wanted to take care of a person, a parent, or you wanted to visit someone that was too far away to visit regularly, that you could just drop in on them and say hi and check in on them, show your love. As I've lived in Europe the last 15 years, this concept has really resonated with me. And I believe virtual reality is a really great tool for connecting people. Not only do I think that virtual reality is a useful tool for connecting people, but I also think the people that attend IEEE virtual reality are especially good at connecting multidisciplinary expertise to tackle really challenging problems that face the vision of virtual reality. Now, with regard to the vision of virtual reality, I think we all have our own unique vision of what virtual reality will be like in the future, and its possibilities are really endless. For me, I want to share 2 sources of inspiration for what the future vision of virtual reality really is. One is an academic inspiration, that is from the essay by Ivan Sutherland in 1965, The Ultimate Display. And another is from entertainment. When I was young, Star Trek: The Next Generation was always on TV. And the holodeck was the ultimate display, really. So first, let's start with Ivan Sutherland's Ultimate Display and a publication he published a few years after 1965 called A Head-Mounted Three-Dimensional Display. Pictured here on the left, where you can see the head-mounted display that he designed at MIT, he brought with him to the University of Utah in the very lab where I did my research there as a PhD student. The head-mounted display hung from the ceiling and took the weight off of the person such that it wasn't so heavy as the one I experienced much later in 1992. Also, this apparatus that hung from the ceiling was the positional sensor such that the person could rotate their head and could experience the virtual world. In the center here, you see a depiction of a virtual world where if you look really closely, you'll see that there's a person put in there wearing a head-mounted display. And on the far right, you see the vision of having a head-mounted display and interacting with wireframe objects that are not so unlike the sketchpad that Ivan Sutherland also invented. The quote that I really love from Ivan Sutherland's essay is the following: "We live in a physical world whose properties we have come to know well through long familiarity. We sense an involvement with this physical world which gives us the ability to predict its properties well. A display connected to a digital computer gives us a chance to gain familiarity with concepts not realizable in the physical world." I love these quotes because they talk about being able to use multisensory information, this knowledge we have about the world around us and how our senses respond to it, to generate a real world, but also to gain familiarity with things that we can't experience. Ivan Sutherland was talking about mathematics beyond our possible experience in the physical world. But he might as well have been talking about other concepts, like being able to be in one continent and experience someone in another, as if they were there with you. If you look to the holodeck, most people come to mind this matrix-like room that you see here, where two people are standing there and then they activate the holodeck and they're transported to another space. But I'd like to draw attention to some aspects of the holodeck that may have gotten forgotten. In particular, there's two people going into the holodeck, and there could be as many people as they'd like. They get transformed into this massively large space surrounding them, and in this particular image, they have the same clothes on and they appear to each other as the same person, but their bodies could also be transformed into other clothing, maybe from another time period, and or even into another species altogether from another planet. In particular, they're not just surrounded by a massively large world, they're also surrounded by a large number of other beings and people, maybe other people from other holodecks, but potentially also other artificially intelligent agents that can interact with them. And so the holodeck envisioned two people going into a world and experiencing it with all their senses. In particular, it wasn't just about being able to see another world and experience it from afar or hear it, but also touch it and take their whole body into that space. To me, that's the vision of virtual reality and the ultimate 3D user interface that we're all working towards. In 2007, I moved to the town of Tübingen, Germany, which you can see here in virtual Tübingen, which, by the way, you can get downloaded at virtualtübingen.de, and it works in Unity 3D. And in my humble opinion, it's one of the most loveliest cities, not only virtually, but also in person. And those of you that visited us in 2018 at the IEEE Virtual Reality Conference, I hope you agree how lovely it is. And if not, I hope you have a future date where you can come to visit. I moved there because of this individual, Professor Heinrich Bulthoff, who at that exact year was building a facility that's still to this day one of the best virtual reality facilities in the world. It's called the Cyberneum, and it hosts all kinds of impressive virtual reality technology that can engage the entire senses. So head-mounted displays, large screen displays, and also robotic interfaces that can allow people to be moved through space. In my 10 years at the Max Planck Institute, I want to show you a little bit of the overview of my research before I dive into self-avatars and immersive technology theme. Virtual reality has always been at the center of my research. At first, I worked on motor control, in particular, humans' control of their locomotion and movements, gymnastics, and also I worked with robotics. I also worked in areas of computer graphics, like being able to allow people to spatially navigate through virtual Tübingen, and also the perception of virtual humans. I also worked on body language, in particular body language expression when you're trying to communicate with someone from afar, and also emotional body language expression during storytelling. For the last 5 years that I was in Max Planck Institute for Biological Cybernetics, I formed a group and focused on studying space and body perception. That's the focus of my talk today when I talk about self-avatars and immersive technology. In the 10 years that I was at the Cyberneum, I must have demoed to thousands of people. And in our experiments, we ran experiments with hundreds and hundreds of participants. And a common theme of questions came to us. Before I was able to give people a self-avatar in the virtual world, they'd put on a head-mounted display, and I, as the person demoing or as the experimenter, would start to instruct them on what they should do. And very often, the participant or the person enjoying the demo would say, "Well, wait a minute, where am I?" Or, "Where are you?" It was as if putting on the head-mounted display was this experience of turning off the lights to the real world. So they were seeing this virtual world, but they no longer could see their body, even though they were aware it was certainly still there. In future demos, when I could give people a self-avatar so they could look down and they would see something like these two images here, a person moving around, maybe wearing a different outfit than them, maybe having a different general shape, they would make the statement, wait a minute, who's that? That's not me. Closer to the end of my time doing these demos, when I could give people an avatar that looked like them, I often heard a funny phrase, which was, wait a minute, can I be someone else? I can always be me. So people were intrigued and wanted to be someone of a different age, maybe of a different physical size. Maybe they didn't want to be human at all, and they wanted to be a character that was a cartoon character, for example. Now, diving into 4 research areas which I've selected that fit in the theme of self-avatars and immersive technology, I first want to lay the foundation and tell you how I got to working on avatars. In particular, I studied space perception and adaptation in virtual reality. I discovered that avatars influence space perception, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about why and how. Finally, I studied body adaptation and size perception, so how people perceive their own size of their body, and also how we can adapt how they perceive their body. And finally, I'm going to present a tool that we built over those years that's called a VR tool for the rapid creation of precise self-avatars, such that you too could use self-avatars that are shaped precisely to your participants. So first, getting started with space perception and adaptation. What I first learned when I did my PhD studies was that outside of VR, egocentric distances are estimated quite well. What does this mean? This means that when you put somebody in an open field or in an open auditorium where there's no obstacles in the way, and you put an object on the floor, like a pair of keys or something, and tell them, walk to that and pick up the pair of keys. People can do this remarkably well, even without vision. So they can close their eyes and they can perform on distances from them to other objects quite well, even without seeing the environment as they do it. What was shown in the mid-1990s, and really this is just a few of the early labs that showed it, as well as work related to my own. So there's many, many labs, including many people here at this conference that have studied distance perception in virtual environments. A common theme occurred, which was that distances were compressed anywhere from 25 to 60%. What did this mean? This meant that when people put on a head-mounted display, distances looked as much as half as far as they should. So in layman terms, when you put on a head-mounted display, everything looked a little smaller. Now, in recent years, new VR headsets are still showing some compression, but just a little less, somewhere around 10%. And importantly, compression of distances is not just in virtual headsets, it's also in large screen displays. So Pirankova et al. From my group showed that even in large screen displays, distances can be underestimated. It's found in many different research labs, in many measures of distance perception, such as walking with a blindfold on, pointing, throwing, and verbal reports. At the University of Utah, they investigated the many possible reasons why distances might be compressed in VR. But I'm going to move on to a question that many people asked us, which was simply, well, who cares? Can't you just give people feedback in this virtual world and let them adjust to the new expectations of this headset? This led me to study the theme of adaptation in head-mounted display virtual reality. And what I discovered in my research results there was that people rapidly adapt to a variety of feedback. That is, if they get visual feedback, if they get motor feedback, if they get cognitive feedback, they rapidly adapt their estimates in a virtual world. The problem is that when you take them back out into the hallway outside of your lab, or you put them back outside of the VR, you find that they need to readapt. So they've learned a new mapping between the way the world works and their own actions. has implications for VR training simulators, because if what you're trying to do is convey a spatial relationship inside of the virtual reality, this doesn't work. And it might not transfer back to the real world. A related research result that we did at the Max Planck Institute for Biological Cybernetics was to look into eye height. And I don't know if any of you or many of you have had this experience, but for me it's pretty common that when I go to a person's research lab, they show me a demo, and there's often sort of a default or average user settings, such that we get a default average user experience in virtual reality. Now that might look like setting things like the distance between your eyes to be a certain distance, or setting the eye height of the person to a standard average eye height, or maybe giving the person an avatar that has an average identity, say average body shape or some particular identity that was chosen. What we found in our research studies was, well, that eye height directly influences space perception. This shouldn't be that surprising, because when you change the camera of a camera, that changes the angles to objects. And you can see that in this depiction, that when you lower the eye height, a target will look as if it's a bit farther because the angles have shifted. Then if you raise the eye height by 50 centimeters, the angle to the target will have foreshortened. But the interesting finding here wasn't that eye height directly influences space perception from a static view like this, but rather that important body-based cues to eye height matter, not just visual information about the eye height. And in a series of studies, what we did was we had people sitting, standing, laying, and we found that time after time, people were using their physical eye height in the space to help them estimate distances in the virtual world. So they weren't letting go of where they were physically in space. They were using that to estimate distances in the virtual world. This is an important design consideration, such that if you do enter in a default user, you have to realize that it's going to have different impacts on your participants or on the people that are experiencing your design. In a paper in 2010, I found that avatars influence space perception. How did we discover that? Well, what we did was that we put people into a head-mounted display, and we gave them an experience, one of these three experiences. They either looked down and saw a line on the floor, which was the control condition, which indicated where they were. So they knew that this line indicated where they were standing. Another case was that they looked down and they saw a static avatar. So if they moved their hands a little bit, the avatar's hands wouldn't move, and the hands were and legs were in a static, fixed position. And we also had another case where the avatar was animated. So if they raised their hands, they stepped up with their feet, they would see that this avatar moved with them. So we let them experience that for just 5 minutes. And then afterwards, we asked them to do a common distance perception task. That is, we put them in another virtual hallway. We showed them a target, this green object that you see in the screen, that was out to 4 to 8 meters, somewhere in this range. And we asked them to walk without vision to this previously viewed virtual target. So what did we find? In the case where there was a line on the floor, the control condition, we found the typical underestimation that was found for this head-mounted display. That is, people underestimated distances by about 20%. And if we gave them a static avatar, we saw an improvement on distance perception, such that they no longer underestimated by 20%, but now by about 10%. And finally, if we gave a fully animated avatar, we saw that there was almost no underestimation of distances, so just 96% of the distance they would go. So now we might ask the question, why? And just as a small note, this was a result that was found by myself, but also by Victoria Interante's lab by Reese et al. In 2008. Very similar findings were found. So why might this be happening, that avatars influence space perception? Well, one reason is that an avatar provides a familiar size cue. That is, that humans come in a variety of sizes, but in a variety of sizes that most of us know. So it provides us with a familiar distance and/or metric that we can scale the world. Another reason in the case of self-animated avatar is that it provides a mapping between motor, as in I move my hand a certain amount, and visual performance expectations. So I learn the relationship between how far I move and how far things move visually in the world. Finally, it might help to answer the question that people raise, which is, where am I? Where am I located in this space? Now, I think that it's likely a combination of the above reasons in my studies. After we performed this study, we began to think, can people adapt to self-avatars of different physical sizes? And in a study we ran, we investigated whether people could adapt to a smaller and larger physical body, as depicted here. The PhD student that ran this study put somebody in a head-mounted display with a large field of view, and she stroked their shoulder as they were looking down at a body that was much larger than their body, or much smaller, as you can see in this image. And what we found was that experiencing a larger or smaller physical body changed the way in which people estimated their own body. So when they were asked about their physical body, they slightly overestimated their body, but when they were asked about their experienced or virtual body, they were shifted towards the body that they had seen. Even farther, we found that when you asked people how they could act on the virtual world, so they were given 2 poles and they were told adjust these poles such that you could walk through it, they also were impacted by this larger or smaller physical body, such that they stated that they needed a bigger physical distance to get through if they had the larger physical body, and a smaller distance to get through if they had a smaller physical body. Now, throughout this time, I was collaborating with a local professor, Professor Hung-Yu Wong. He's a professor of philosophy of neuroscience. And we were asking the question, well, how do people perceive bodies? And I want to share these insights with you now. In particular, there's the perceptual aspects of how we perceive bodies. There's perceptual dimensions like body shape or weight, which I just showed, or dimensions of body parts like the physical lengths of our legs or our hands. But there's also visual motor experience that falls under perceptual dimensions. There's attitudes about our body that we have. So things like, how do I look? Or how do I compare? Or which bodies are attractive? These attitudes about bodies have a large number of social inputs. There's also behavioral or performance aspects of our body, like how can we move? Aspects like athletics, and maybe aspects like health. From many conversations that I had and from reading Professor Hung-Yu Wong's work, I came to the understanding that the human body is a very special object in the world. The human body is the only object in the whole world that we can't fully experience from the outside. So we can use virtual reality to experience some aspects of our body from the outside, but we can never get outside of our physical experience of our body. That is, sensory signals are always on, even if we are virtually elsewhere. Also importantly, we have a long history of self-identity and experiences. So this is often in the literature referred to as individual differences, but I think it's more than that. Each day and each of us bring our own experiences and our own identity to virtual reality applications. Importantly, an avatar has the chance to be a visual representation of this special object, a human body, and it has the opportunity to be an excellent 3D user interface. Around 2012, I started collaborating with Professor Michael Black at the Max Planck Institute for Intelligent Systems, and this work is the work that I did with him up until 2018 on personalized 3D body scans. I did this because for some applications, having a self-avatar that really looks like you is heavily desirable. So we designed together a 3D body scan and self-avatar pipeline. Michael had the 3D body scanner, and I was motivated to get it to work in virtual reality in real time to have self-avatars of our users. Here's a short depiction of Michael's work titled Scans to Avatars.
3D body scanning technology is undergoing explosive growth, with high-end stereo-optical scanners like this 3DMD body scanner producing scans with far better fidelity than previous generation laser body scanners, and low-end scanners using inexpensive depth cameras like the Kinect, bringing 3D body scanning to a level of ubiquity previously unheard of. But a scan is just a scan, a collection of points frozen at an instant in time. The applications we care about in fashion, medicine, fitness, and anthropometry require more. We want to breathe life into the scan. The first goal is to be able to repose the scan and animate it with natural shape deformations. These deformations must capture how soft tissue deforms with pose. Second, we must be able to extract accurate measurements from the scan, regardless of what pose it was captured in. Third, we want to be able to edit the body shape to increase or decrease weight or muscle mass, or simply to create new characters with different shapes. Finally, we want to automatically dress scanned bodies in clothing that fits, and to animate this clothing with realistic deformations. All of this needs to happen from a single scan, completely automatically, without markers or manual intervention. The results must be of high accuracy and high realism, capturing natural human body shape and pose variation. To enable this, we use a parametric model of the human body that factors body shape into two causes, one due to identity and the other due to pose. This means that the intrinsic shape of a person remains constant even when their pose varies, enabling the estimation of shape from multiple poses and realistic animation of the body. Shape is parameterized as a set of weights that describe how much a set of basis bodies should deform the average body. The key idea is to represent a high-dimensional body shape with a low-dimensional parametric model that can be fit reliably to scan data. Our body model captures the statistics of shape variation in the population and is learned from the US and European CSER data set of approximately 4,000 3D body scans. To make this possible, however, we must have all the training bodies brought into registration and normalized for pose. Once in full correspondence with a template mesh, we are able to compute how shape varies across the population. Registering thousands of meshes, fully automatically, and with high accuracy, however, remains a challenging problem for several reasons. First, many parts of the body lack distinct features, making registration ambiguous. Pose variation creates additional problems for registration, since body parts may look very different in different poses, and we cannot make assumptions about where the parts may be found in 3D. In some poses, portions of the body may not be seen by the scanner, resulting in missing data and significant holes. Previous methods registered the scans independently, and then, in a separate step, the registrations were used to build models. Now we combine registration and model building into a single integrated process, iteratively refining the model and its component registrations until they converge. Once the training bodies are registered, we perform principal component analysis to characterize the major directions of shape variation in the population. These are the first few principal components of female body shape variation. Notice that these shape components do not capture pose variation. This is an important property of our factored model. The final piece of the model captures pose-dependent deformations. Unlike traditional skinning models, these deformations are learned from data and capture subtleties such as pose-dependent muscle and soft tissue deformation. Now, we come back to our scan. To turn the scan into an avatar, we must fit the model to the scan. This is done by adapting the parameters of our model, pose and shape, to minimize the distance between the scan surface and the model surface. Here you see the model in blue systematically exploring pose and shape variation to fit the scan in gray. Since pose is approximately 45-dimensional and shape just as complex, this is a challenging search problem. The result is the detailed avatar on the right, which captures the shape of the scan on the left. Because it is a parametric model, it can be fully animated, edited, and manipulated. It is no longer a scan, but a true model with a relatively small number of parameters.
So personalized 3D body scans. Over that 5-year period, we ran more than 200 participants where their experience was that they came into the lab, stood in the 3D body scanner, and then from that, we got a 3D body template that matched their body size, a texture that conveyed their color information about their appearance, and we could turn this into a personalized avatar. Well, we were asking the question, how do people perceive the size of their own bodies? So things like the weight of their body, the shape of their body, but also different dimensions of their body, like height, leg length, arm length, etc. Typical methods to study this work, actually typical good methods from recent years, would take a picture of someone and then using sophisticated Photoshop would distort the image such that the person looked bigger or smaller. As you can see in this image, the picture on the left is the original picture of the participant, the one in the middle is looking larger, and the one on the right is looking smaller. Brooks et al. In 2016 developed the same kind of strategy where you had a participant and you made them look thinner or larger than they actually were. And they used this kind of stimuli to study how people perceive their own bodies. However, Michael's technology with this 3D body scanner and the simple body model has huge implications because it's based on a statistical body model and actually better represents the 3D shape of our participants. So we use that to build our stimuli and experiments. Here you can see an own avatar with photorealistic texture, as well as an average avatar with photorealistic texture. That is a shape that looks quite like yours, but isn't your exact millimeter shape. And we can play around with the kind of photorealistic texture that you have. So you can have your texture from the 3D body scan, or you can have some 3D shape information about the body. Or you can even have an average avatar with photorealistic texture. So you can put any combination of shape and texture together here. And these 200 people came into our research lab and ran the following experiments. They stood in front of a flat, stereoscopic, large screen immersive display, and they were asked again and again the question like, is it the same weight as you, yes or no? Or is the body bigger or smaller than you, yes or no? And from this, we could determine how well they could perceive their own body size, shape, or dimensions. So I'm just going to tell you about one of those studies written by Thaler et al. 2018 on photorealistic self-avatars in males and females. Here on the left, you see the depiction of a male participant, and on the right, a female participant. And our setup was set up such that it was as if you were standing looking in a mirror and you were being asked, is this your body, yes or no? And in this case, you were being asked, is it your weight, yes or no? And for the weight perception results, what we found was that both males and females slightly underestimated their body weight, but there was no difference between the two populations, and they were quite accurate. So they weren't hugely underestimating their own body weight. In the case of sensitivity to visual change in weight of self-avatars, we found that females were much more sensitive to weight changes in the avatar body size than males were. And importantly, when we asked the participants to not just answer, is it your weight, yes or no, but is it your ideal weight, or adjust the avatar such that it looks like the weight you wish that you were, we found that female participants reported a significantly lower weight, that is 8% lower than their own body weight, while men's ideal weight was much closer to their actual weight. When we asked about perceived similarity of the avatar, we found that for females, own shape was more important, and for males, own texture was more important. So these females and males focused on a different attribute in terms of rating the similarity of the avatar to themselves. Finally, in my research, I'd like to tell you about the virtual caliper, which is a tool for rapid, precisely shaped self-avatars in virtual reality. You can go to virtualcaliper.is.tue.mpg.de and download this software both in desktop format and for use with the HTC Vive. And what does it do? Basically, you can see here the PhD student, Anna Thaler, that worked on this project. And you can see it's a very rapid step of taking measurements of yourself using the HTC Vive. You can see that she puts the controller on her head to measure height. She measures arm span, she measures hip width and inseam, and she either enters her weight or stands on a scale, which enters her weight. And she gets an avatar that looks like her and is her precise measurements. And after that, she can put on the HTC Vive head-mounted display and look down and see an avatar that has her body shape and look in a mirror and say hello to herself in her own body shape. So what did we do in this paper? We actually investigated a bunch of different dimensions that might be useful for generating a precise 3D shape of a person rapidly. And we found that about 5 of these measurements were most precisely taken by the participant and also most useful in terms of a perceptual evaluation where we asked the participants to compare it to their own scan of themselves and or a much more complex method of creating the self-avatar for them. Here you can see this virtual caliper tool for rapid precisely shaped self-avatars in virtual reality. If you look closely here, you can see this is a body creator tool that runs on the desktop, and you can enter in a bunch of different dimensions in terms of your height, weight, arm span, inseam, your shoulder to arm length, and you can adjust both the male and female body at the same time and see their body shape. And once you're satisfied with the way they appear, you can export them for use in any game engine or any virtual reality setting, or you could just do this directly with the HTC Vive instead of using the desktop setting. Why did we do this project? Well, for many years, we had this experience where we actually just had participants being able to stand in front of a mirror and measure their arm length and their head height and having the avatar adjust to them. And we wanted a precise way to enable people to very rapidly go into the head-mounted display and make a body that had their body dimensions. So before I wrap up, I want to talk about the many benefits and challenges of self-avatars. So the benefits from my perspective are always going to be that avatars provide a really unique tool for scientists to study human experience. Additionally, self-avatars are a ruler or a reference for interactions with the environment. Some challenges that we face and will continue to face are that the appearance of humans is challenging to get right. Humans are really sensitive to appearance features in digital humans, and you have to get it perfectly right for humans not to notice any kind of errors. We have very serious real-time requirements of avatars. That is, we have to render the human as quickly as possible such that you don't notice the lag between the motion of the human and the motion of your own arm, for example. Importantly, human bodies are dynamic and always changing. So despite the fact that you might feel like your body has been the same size or height for a long period of time, your body really changes really from the beginning of the day to night. Your posture changes, and there's a lot of features about your body, like for example, the clothes you wear or the way in which you wear your hair, that change very rapidly over time. Also, bodies are more than just visual information. So as soon as you give people a self-avatar and immersive technology, they're going to start asking that next question, like, what can I do with it? And they're going to have expectations that they have from the real world that they want to bring into the virtual experience and virtual world. So if you take anything away from my talk today, I want to convey 2 research takeaway messages. That is that the human body is special and should be carefully considered when designing immersive technology. And finally, that self-avatars are valuable for designing experiences in immersive technology. Here are the several publications that I went into in a bit of depth today in the presentation. So once this publication is shared, you can look here to get to the PDFs. Before I close, I want to just thank my many collaborators. Many of them have been from the Max Planck Society from the decade that I worked there. Many others here depicted are from universities both before I went to the Max Planck Society and after. Now with my remaining time, I want to say that a little bit about why I left academia for industry in 2018 and tell you a little bit about Amazon Research Development Center. In particular, why did I join Amazon and why do I love it? Well, to me, Amazon is the perfect fit because they're customer obsessed. And I think in my research field, I've always been obsessed with the experience that the user is having in my demos and or in my research experiences. And this really fits with my personality, and I think it's important to be obsessed over the customer experience. Amazonians, as we like to call ourselves, are constantly innovating on behalf of the customer. Important to me as well is that Amazon has this rich multidisciplinary environment with extremely talented leaders in their fields. And finally, a really important aspect to me as a scientist is that collaborations are valued and publishing is a priority. Now, I said in the beginning about Amazon that the research that was just presented was before joining Amazon and does not reflect my work, my current work and future research. However, I have a special guest to present to you what we're doing at Amazon on behalf of customers. Jen Lin, a principal engineer at Amazon for nearly 6 years, is going to present to you 2 products that are very exciting. Thank you, Jen, for coming.
Hello. Thank you so much, Betty, for that warm welcome. I am Jen Lin, and I'm a principal engineer. I have grown my career with Amazon for 6 years. My specialization area is innovating for Amazon Fashion. Amazon Fashion aims to reinvent the fashion shopping experience for everyone, using technology to serve customers with products and brands that are relevant to them. The innovations in computer vision and in 3D simulation have unleashed big opportunities in the last decade, which our team applies to make it easier for our customers to shop the brands they know and love, and also to discover new brands. There are 2 programs in this space that I will cover today. First, I will share with you our luxury store's 360-degree interactive viewer experience. View in 360 is available in luxury stores, Amazon's new shopping experience that brings established and emerging luxury fashion and beauty brands directly to customers in the United States. This interactive experience enables customers to select a fashion model based on their size and their body type. Customers can drag their fingers across the mobile screen to see a 360-degree view of the model wearing the luxury garment and toggle between sizes. Models of different body types and skin tones are featured wearing the same garment and the same size to help customers visualize how that garment will drape and fit on their own body type. By showing customers the real product on multiple models with photographs that cover 360-degree views, we allow them to better discern fit and draping for the product, even in the digital environment. You may notice this is not a self-avatar. Some customers are interested in seeing these styles on their own bodies, but others prefer being inspired by seeing these styles on models with body types similar to theirs and in easy-to-navigate ways. For now, we've tapped into the latter, and we're excited to listen and learn to our customer feedback. The second innovation I would like to share with you is our newly launched innovative shopping experience, Made for You. Made for You uses virtual fit technology that allows customers to create a custom t-shirt to their exact measurements and style preferences. To create a t-shirt, customers can provide their height, weight, body style, and take 2 photos from the Made for You homepage. This is used as input to the draping simulation Amazon provides to demonstrate the t-shirt's fit. Customers can customize their t-shirt design by selecting a preferred fabric, color, t-shirt length, fit, neckline, and sleeve length. Customers may edit their body measurements at any time. Customers can then visualize that t-shirt on a virtual body double, a self-avatar. We use the most accurate body measurement models available to generate the 3D avatar for their body. The team used self-avatar technology to enhance the sensation of seeing the t-shirt on their own body. As with the luxury experience, we are listening and learning from customer feedback so that we can best determine how self-avatar-based experiences can create an easier and more engaging way to shop for clothing. Thank you again, Betty, for this wonderful opportunity to speak with you and to walk through these 2 programs. These experiences enable Amazon to learn from our customers about their preferences when they're shopping for apparel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jen, for giving us those insights into products that are delighting our customers. To you at IEEE Virtual Reality and 3D User Interface Conference, I'd like to invite you to come build the future with us at Amazon. In particular, you can go to this link to get jobs related to the work that Jen just showed you. And finally, I'd like to wrap up and say thanks, and I'm looking forward to being together again virtually and in person.
Okay. 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 Thank you so much to Betty Muller for this fantastic presentation. Thank you so much to Betty Muller for this fantastic presentation. Thank you so much to Betty Muller for this fantastic presentation. Thank you so much to Betty Muller. Was there any for this fantastic presentation?